Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Keelan and at the minute I am working through decluttering and also trying to stay on track. After I finish my no buy month, I want to have like a low cost November and December before I start my no buy year, and I've been thinking a lot about ideas of things to do instead of spending money, so I just wanted to share some more of those with you. Number one is to create an inventory of everything that you own if you're trying to declutter. I got this idea from Grace Nevitt, who has a channel on YouTube where she shares like stuff about minimalism and anti-consumerism, and she made like a log of everything that she owned to help her in the decluttering process. And although it could be laborious and boring, like I think that if you have a lot of time on your hands and you're looking for a way to use up your energy that sort of directs you away from shopping and also puts you off buying things because you don't want to have to log it in future, it can help you like take stock of what you have and to show you what actually matters to you and what you want to get rid of. Number two is to take yourself on a date. This is inspired by the book The Artist's Way, which I read a few years ago and I really loved it, and I actually want to reread it. I still have it sitting in my bookcase. One of the suggested ideas in it to kind of spark your creativity is to take yourself on artist dates where you go out as if you're taking yourself on a date. Basically, you could take yourself anywhere you want, like to the park, to a cafe, and bring a journal, or like draw while you're out, or take yourself to a cultural event, like for example something that's happening at a museum, or just to look at a free exhibition. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it's a good way to make yourself feel like you're special and like you're getting to go out and do something different, and it makes you spend like intentional time with yourself in a way that you don't tend to do at home because you get busy with other things and you're kind of on autopilot. So I think that that can also be applied to your finances, and it's a helpful way to like come up with a creative idea of something to do instead of spending money, and something that's important to you. Number three for something to do instead of spending money is to do a selection of drawings while you're out and about. You could be sitting somewhere like a park bench, or if you happen to be out for a cup of coffee, or you're just wandering around and you see something that inspires you, just draw a sketch of it and kind of create a little notebook collection for yourself of things that just make you curious or interesting things that you come across along the way. And I think it can really feed your creativity, as well as being a free activity to do. You can just wander in different areas, or you can just go not far from home and just see what you find along the way that makes you feel like this is something worth like stopping and looking at for longer than a second. Number four is to have a craft party at your house with friends. It could even just be like one friend. You invite them over in the evening, for example, for a craft night, and you pick a specific thing to do together. This is kind of like the idea of, you know, those places that you can go to where you paint pottery, but it's at a fraction of the cost, because I think that they really overcharge you for the privilege of doing it there. Obviously they kind of have to do that to make money as a business, but it's much cheaper to do it at home. You can find loads of craft packs in the pound shop that are already made up, and that it literally provides instructions for you if you don't feel like coming up with it yourself. I was kind of inspired by a video I saw a few years ago by a YouTuber who did making like Christmas stars, kind of an origami type thing that she did with a friend of hers in her own flat, and they made some like Christmassy treats and festive drinks to go along with it. And I think as the days kind of close in and it gets colder, it's nice to do cozy things like that, and it's satisfying doing something together where you can sit and chat and relax and use your hands to make something unique, and you can even make decorations with it. So it's kind of like providing you with decor for Christmas time that isn't costing you a lot of money. Number five is to go on a low cost day trip. It could be anywhere you like. It doesn't have to be far from home. It could be in nature. It could be to a nearby town that you don't often see. It could be to another side of the city, and while you're there, take photos and bring a journal and write about it in your journal and see what thoughts come up for you and what other creative ideas it gives you. And I just think it's interesting to take yourself outside your area and to just see new things and get a different feel, because even if you go somewhere different, like there's new smells, there's new sights, there's just a different atmosphere in different places, and it kind of opens doors in your mind so you feel more inspired and less hemmed in. And it doesn't even have to be far, and the fact it's a day trip means you don't have to pay for accommodation. You can just pay for transport, or even if it's walkable, that's fine too. Number 6 is to go to the beach and build a sandcastle. You can make it as elaborate as you like. You can do it with like friends or with your kids. I just think it's a nice activity to do as an adult, because it's probably something you haven't done in a long time, unless you've helped your kids to construct one if you have them. And it just makes you sort of stop and appreciate nature. You can decorate it with shells and rocks. I used to love collecting shells and pretty stones and like sea glass from the beach with my kids, but I kind of stopped doing that as much because I felt like I didn't want to take all of the shells away from nature. So it's a good way to kind of interact with it without removing things from your local like beaches. And you can be as creative as you like and take as long as you want over it. And I just feel like connecting with the kind of childlike side of yourself is an important thing to do regularly, and it distracts you from like any sort of consumer mindset, because usually as a child you don't have access to money and you have to come up with creative ideas of things to do that don't involve spending anything. And when you kind of reconnect to that, it eliminates the urge to spend. Number 7 is a random one, but it's to make yourself a special sandwich. Like, I think it's really, like, especially if you're on a tight budget, you can kind of get in the way of eating really plain sandwiches. And I know that we would just like shove ham and cheese in a sandwich and just like have that for lunch quite often, and there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes it's nice to treat yourself a little bit. It's not doing it to an unreasonable degree. It's still cheaper than eating out, and if you make it more elaborate and look for ideas online, it feels like a real treat without you having to go to a restaurant or cafe for your lunch, and you can add whatever fillings you want, and it's just like a nice little way to kind of take care of yourself, especially if you are going to work and you can bring it with you and it gives you something to look forward to at lunchtime. And I just find things like that, like simple things where you put more, like you pay attention to details more, it really is rewarding, and it kind of just like brightens up your day. Number 8 is to paint a room in your house, or paint like a feature wall. Or if you don't want to paint and you just want to change the look of a room, you can make a wall with pictures on it, and you don't have to go out and buy those. You can literally take like magazine cuttings, like get photos that you have lying around, postcards, like anything that you have already at home, or you can paint or make your own pictures if you feel like doing that. And it just livens up your space, but it's not a costly way to do it. I used to always make collage walls whenever I was younger, particularly when I was a student and we weren't allowed to paint or do like any major changes to the decor because we were living in like halls or student like flats and stuff like that. So because everywhere was like white and dull, kind of like the walls in my house right now actually, it was a good way to personalize it and to kind of keep yourself busy. And I just find it inspiring every time you look at images around you that bring you joy. Number 9 is to make a treasure box to keep things in. Like, this is another thing that I did as a kid, and I've done it with my kids before, but it's actually really fun. If you just take an old box, it can just be a shoe box or something like that, or any kind of box. Like, we made ones before out of like old tea boxes, you know, like the pretty tea boxes that you get herbal tea in quite often. We used those and just like decorated them with loads of like paint and glitter and sequins, and there's something about doing that just like cheers you up. And then you can put whatever you like inside when it's dry. There's no limits to how you do it, and it can end up becoming like a cool piece of decor for your house too. Number 10 is to make your own ideas book. I have been loving like compiling lists of things to do instead of spending money, and it's a good way to keep track of any ideas you have, so you can just grab it if you are feeling busy or you don't have time to sit and think up ideas instead of spending money and you feel tempted to go shopping. You can easily find something in it that just redirects your thoughts and makes you think of something more creative to do at home instead of spending. I hope these ideas are helpful to someone, and thanks for watching, and I will see you all for another video soon. Bye!